Hello, everybody. I'm going to see if I can put captions on here. Captions? English. Show captions. Sweet. Okay. What other things can I do here? Ooh, a transcript. Yes. Okay. So this video today is about how to take care of yourself in between sessions, how to think about what it looks like to be moving through somatic work and how that might be a little bit different than what you've experienced in the past when it comes to what you can feel in your body, how you might notice your emotions in between sessions. How much time do you need between sessions? How can you integrate between sessions? Why do you sometimes feel a little bit worse after we meet? Why do sometimes you feel way better after we meet? So all of this is under this umbrella of how can you frame your somatic work and understand what it's doing inside of your system as you move forward, and how can you steward your own energy? How can you think about this process so that you can get the most out of it? So maybe just as you're listening to this, we can bring in a little bit of somatic intention into this space. And so just as we start, maybe just take a look around. I can sense in my body, I'm excited to talk to you about this. And I also feel, some tension in here. So just breathing together and maybe orienting a little bit in your space as you prepare to take in some new information. Just slowing it down a little bit. I'm always excited to share with you. Yeah. And when it comes to thinking about what somatic therapy does in your system, over time, it's not at a conscious level. The work that we're doing is by nature at a subconscious or unconscious level. When you feel the emotions and the sensations and process those sensations in your body, those body memories are highly connected to the parts of your brain that don't have a conscious picture of what's going on. That's why trauma memories are often felt memories. They're not necessarily pictures or images of person, place, thing, time, sequence of events. It's more like smell. Oh, I don't like that. Or, oh, there's this feeling coming up inside of me that I don't understand and feels really icky. And so the fact that it's happening in our body tells us that this is not necessarily conscious. Sometimes you might remember pieces of what happened, right? Or the story. And sometimes new pieces of information will come into your conscious awareness. But by nature, what we're working through is not conscious. And so the effects that you're going to feel in your day-to-day life, the effects that you're going to feel as you process those emotions are not going to be necessarily making sense to your conscious mind. And so that's the first thing that I want to share with you is that the brain, the one that wants to make sense of things, and I know that you have this, I know that you want to make sense, right? I know that you want to figure it out in a way that can be pleasing to the part of us that's like, yeah, okay, I get it, right? And that does come to some extent, but what we're really doing is we are pruning neural pathways. We're creating new neural pathways. And that's not as simple as, oh, I get it, and now I feel different. It's kind of like the way that it's been described to me before by some of my teachers is you've been on a train for a really long time. Maybe you've been on this train for like 30 years, right? You've been feeling this way, you've been thinking this way. This is how you see yourself for the last 30 years. And this train has got some momentum, right? So every day you're going through your life and you're thinking, okay, maybe it's I'm not good enough, right? I'm not good enough. I need to work harder to be better. Not good enough. I need to work harder to be better, right? And see how much momentum comes on this train. And all of the information that we can gather is filtered through the fact that we're already on this train. And then we start to do this somatic work, and this train is still really going. And sometimes we're like, we're interrupting the train, we're jumping on the train, we're like talking to the conductor, we're like, are you sure you still want to do this train? Be on this train. It's been going for a really long time. It's kind of falling apart a little bit. Like maybe it's not so safe anymore. And so you're on this train, and we start to kind of slow this train down and get more aware of how much momentum is really here. Meanwhile, we're over here and we're starting to build the new tracks. We're starting to build the new tracks. I don't know if I can keep this going at the same time. It's like this patting your head and rubbing your belly kind of thing, right? But we're building these new tracks in our work together, these new neural pathways. And this is not a conceptual thing. We are really building new neural pathways for you to experience yourself differently. And so this train is going as fast as it can. It's been on its momentum for years and years. And this train, like, we're just starting to lay down the track. So we're just starting to gather the materials. We're just starting to build it, right? So the cat is we're just gonna have to she's just part of it. She's learned how to open every door in my house. And so there's no way to keep her out. She just has to be like somehow my little assistant. She's a little brat though. She's only a year old. So we're building these tracks, new neural pathways of ways of experiencing ourselves. And meanwhile, this other train is going. And we are slowly taking materials away out of this train, building the new path. We're slowly slowing down the momentum of this train as we become more aware of it. And we realize there's actually a lot of energy here. There's a lot of momentum here. There's a lot of charge and power in the way that we have been moving. So as we start to slow that down, we realize, oh my gosh, there's actually so many feelings, so much survival energy, so many beliefs about ourselves and the world that are wrapped up in this way that we've been moving with such unconscious momentum for so long. We haven't even realized that we have been on this train. And so as you start to do this work and slow down into experiencing what's true for you, you start to realize, shit, I'm on a train. But that doesn't mean that you just jump off that one onto this one. This one's not built yet. This one is just building. And so there's this kind of uncomfortable, contradictory time that can happen. And it's uncomfortable to see. It's like this awakening process of awakening to, oh, these are the structures that I'm living within my own mind and body. And as you start to see that, it's like there can be a few things that happen. One can be we can be surprised by how we've been behaving, or we can be surprised at the beliefs that we've held for so long about ourselves and the world too. Like, oh, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. I didn't realize that I was walking around with this much shame. I didn't realize I've been actually feeling really angry underneath the surface forever and ever. And as that moves, filters up out of this unconscious place that we just take for granted because it's always there, as you start to filter it up into your conscious awareness, it becomes more apparent to you. So you can kind of see it. And that can be really uncomfortable. Looking at this thing, being like, oh, that train looks like it's in disrepair. That it's rusty. Like that is coming off the tracks. I do not like that. And there can be all sorts of feelings that come up as we observe ourselves in this way that we have been for so long. I'm just thinking if I want to share, a personal experience about this. Because so for me, I have held a lot of suppressed anger in my body, suppressed rage. And sometimes it has come out in these explosive ways. And as I work with this somatically in my experience, I start to realize how often I am holding anger in my body and how prevalent it is and how it filters into every single one of my relationships, how it filters into my way of seeing the world. And that is so uncomfortable to look at yourself and think, oh, the way that I have been perceiving the world is not the truth. It is a response to my experiences in the past. It's a conditioning, it's a structure that my nervous system has created that I experience the world through as a filter. So as the filter starts to become clear, you start to realize, oh, these glasses that I'm wearing, here's another metaphor for you. These glasses that I'm wearing are dirty. And then all of a sudden you're like, they're really dirty. Oh, okay. So you start to clean them and you're like, oh, they're dirty, right? But that's not comfortable. And I want to hold space and bring to our awareness too that there is grief here. There's grief in sensing the way that we have been seeing the world has been potentially through a dirty pair of glasses.
Okay, Missy, come here, you little brat.
She just, if you ever had a kitten, you recognize the love-hate relationship. She just has to play with everything that she finds. So, where are we? Just gonna check how much time we're at here. So, we're on this train. We start to realize we're on a train. There's a part of us that's building these little tracks over here. And that's what we're doing together in session. We're realizing we're on a train. We're processing the intense amount of energy that is involved in this train going in this direction for so long. And then we're starting to subtly build the blocks over here of these new neural pathways, the new ways of being, the new perceptions, the new filters. And that can there can be a level of grief with that. Because when you start to realize, oh, I remember when I realized, oh, I am treating my partner with a level of continuous critique and resentment that is actually not honoring or loving him in the way that is needed for our partnership. And I could all of a sudden see, oh, these glasses that I have been wearing are dirty. And I cried and I cried and I felt there was so much grief there. I was like, oh, I forgot. I forgot how much love is here. I forgot how important this person is because I have been looking at them through a lens of critique, through dirty glasses, and everything I see fits my idea because I'm looking through the past. I love these metaphors. So as you take off the glasses and you start to clean the glasses so you can see a little bit more clearly, there can be this feeling of sadness, anger, um, and all of the feelings of grief, right? Oh my gosh, how could I have I wasted so much time. That's another one that people feel, right? The time that was lost as you become more conscious to the impact that you're having on yourself and the world. Like, oh, there's feelings there, right? So that's all part of this process. So coming back to this idea or this topic of what can we expect as we are moving through somatic work? What can we expect as we are in between sessions and observing ourselves, right? We're coming into contact with deeply held energy, deeply held. And I say that in not a woo sense. I mean, like I love the woo, right? But it's energy in the sense that this is held survival responses, held fight or flight, stress cycle energy, held freeze response. So we come into contact with this energy. It moves through us in session, but it continues to unravel in between our sessions. It continues to move through us, right? This is a layer, and this is something that I really want to bring as an offering in the way that you can see this process. We access layers of experience. So this layer perhaps is numbness, right? This layer that is dissociation, right? And we can think of it like this one, this dissociative layer was in response to something that underneath it, just before that, was too much, too soon, too fast, right? Those are oftentimes the framing that people talk about trauma, too much, too soon, too fast. So too much activation, dissociation, numbness, freeze response that holds this here, right? This activation, hold it here until we have a safe enough space and enough time, which is what we have in session, to move through the dissociation, move through the freeze, and then we feel what's underneath that, right? That's that activation that you feel. I know that if you're a current client, if you do your own somatic work, if you have your own process around this, you recognize that relationship between sitting with feeling nothing and then how something is really underneath that. So that continues to unravel over time, which is why you might feel in between session like things are coming out of you, right? I am not comfortable. I am feeling gross, right? And that can even look like being fatigued, exhausted. And this is called uh, people call this like a healing crisis, right? When you've accessed something inside of you that has been wanting to be released or purged for a long time. And then when you access it, it comes out and it feels like you're getting worse. It feels like you're not you're not feeling better like you want to, right? From your work. And so, but really the way that you can think about it is like, imagine when you're popping a pimple, right? You're popping a zit and it's like, oh, there's lots in there. Oh, right. And it comes out and you're like, oh, that's gross, right? But it's what's coming out, it's what's leaving. These are both somatic and spiritual ways of looking at this. And I feel like a little caveat here is that I don't really believe that at some point we are pure. I don't believe that at some point we move through everything and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we are like a pure, perfect being. I don't think that that is the point, right? And I think that sometimes we can mistake what it means to do counseling work or healing work or spiritual work in that with this kind of Puritan way of that at some point we will be fixed, at some point we will be pure, at some point we will be whole. And that is something else that I want to kind of bring another perspective to, is what if you are already whole? What if everything you're experiencing is part of where you're going and your journey? Sounds so cliche, right? But what if everything you're experiencing is another layer in between you and the truth of what you are, the truth that you are already whole, the truth that you are connected? So when we can see our process as not being linear, then we're not judging ourselves for where we are. We're not expecting ourselves to fix ourselves within a few processes or a few experiences. We're seeing our life experience as this constant experiment of coming closer to who we really are, the essence of our authentic self, our authentic being, which is very, very connected, right? Always connected to whatever you hold as being spirit, whatever you hold as being God, is whatever you hold as being the truth. We're getting off the train, we're slowing down the train of our conditioning, our collective conditioning, our ancestral conditioning, the conditioning we've built up in our lifetime. We're slowing down that train, becoming very aware. Oh shit, I'm on a train. Okay, whoa, that's not the train I want to be on, right? Awareness, processing all the energy and the momentum of that train, slowly building new tracks of a new train, right? A new way of being that feels more aligned and authentic to who we really are and how we want to be in the world. And then we're in this place. We're in this bizarre middle place of feeling and seeing where we are and where we've been, and then getting a taste of what is new, getting a taste of that person that we know is so much more true to us, our much more authentic, clear, um, insert whatever word that feels most true to you, right? Peaceful, easeful, or uh, yeah, whatever it is, right? Even you could even take this to the practical level of like, oh, I see I've been living a life where I'm not treating my body very well. And then this new pathway that we're creating is I care for my body in whatever way that feels true to me, right? So we're in between these two trains. We're taking off the glasses. We're seeing, oh, they're dirty. We're cleaning them, right? And then we're left with being in the center. We're left with being in this contradiction of I am both my conditioning and I am my essence. I am my conditioning in the ways that feel shadowy to me. I see that. And I also have hope for a new experience of myself in the world. And we're in the middle of this, and that can kind of feel like, oh, our brain doesn't want that. Our brain wants one thing to be true, and that is just never the case. But we find ourselves in this uncomfortable, contradictory space. And the challenge for us is to be there, is to be okay with knowing that we're not here to fix ourselves. There is wholeness within us already, and we are experimenting with what feels better. So practically, that's a lot of metaphors, right? For anybody to go through. So let's talk about some practicalities of integration. And integrating is that moving between those two things, right? Integrating the parts of us that feel icky that feel challenging, that feel like they're grieving, that feel like they have lost something, and then integrating the parts of us that feel like that they know that they're whole, they're deeply connected, they feel uh, capable, like they have capacity, right? So we're moving between integrating these things. And I do this because it's also integrating in our brain. So integration is the key. Integration is, I want to say, the queen, right? So sleep. If you can nap or sleep or just find yourself in your bed, blankets up like this, just resting, not listening to anything, no new information, letting yourself be comfortable as possible, right? Or neutral, or just there, right? I guess when I say comfortable, I also think about how sometimes we're in pain and it doesn't feel accessible to say, oh, I'm comfortable and I'm just in like the most restful state, because for many of us, when we lie down or we sit and we intend to be comfortable, really we're just trying to not to be neutral, right? We can just seek, that sense of not being uncomfortable. So I just want to add that little caveat, right? And so lying down, sleeping, not taking in any new information. Optical flow, which is if you're driving or walking or moving it forward in some way, and you are processing by moving your eyes back and forth, and this happens naturally when you're walking, when you're driving. You're moving your eyes, you're taking in information from your environment, and that helps your brain integrate new information. So sleeping or lying down, walking or moving forward in some way, writing, stream of consciousness, right? Not trying to figure it out, but just writing the words that come into your mind. I don't know what to say. This is really silly. I feel like a failure. Da, 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 right? Not as little effort as possible, right? And then there's other things that we can think of too, like being with friends, being in a social situation, singing, dancing, um, connecting, right? Being in our community, that can also be considered integration. And I really want to leave you with this idea that it doesn't have to be this whole big production, right? Especially if you're a parent or you have a really busy life and it feels like maybe lying down for an hour-long nap or having a deep meditation or taking time for yourself to write, that's not really accessible, and you're like, yeah, right, what am I going to be able to do that, right? Even just the intention of integration, the intention that, okay, as I'm cooking dinner, I am just being with everything that is internally happening for me, that is shifting in me. I'm holding space for all of the ways that I am shifting and changing beyond my conscious awareness. We can call that integration too, right? It's just the knowledge that things are happening behind the scenes and we can make space for that to happen without too much effort. So I feel like I talked about a lot. Let me know what you think of this stream of consciousness style of offering. Let me know what you think about these ideas about integration, about what it looks like as we're personally moving through these layers of conditioning that we've found in ourselves. Let me know what it's like What's it like for you? What do you notice in between sessions? What do you notice? Even if you don't do somatic therapy or you don't have a therapeutic process in your life right now, that's okay. If you're here, you probably have some way of connecting with the way that you are growing and changing as a human being. What's that like for you? And how do you notice that happening inside yourself? Taking away that we are not linearly trying to go from point A unhealed to point B healed, right? That's too much pressure. So we can give ourselves some grace. I will leave it at that. And I will see you next time.